Good day, everyone. Today I will discuss the overview of Chapter 6 as well as the first subtopic, which is the focus on children and violence. You can find these topics on pages 164 to 167. As we go along with our discussion, the following questions must be answered. First, how has television become the most popular medium worldwide? Second, what is the role of media in human development? Third, how to avoid media's role in fomenting social instability and instigating violence. So, when television was introduced publicly during the 1939 World's Fair in New York, people weren't impressed at first as its quality was bad and it was expensive. With that, people doubted its capability to become one of the most popular mediums worldwide. But as time passed by, television became a major part of our daily lives. In fact, years after its introduction, a few experimental TV stations began broadcasting limited programs, but to only a small number of audiences. When the US entered World War II, TV development slowed down because resources were needed for the war effort. But after that, materials became available again, and TV technology had advanced enough to be ready for wider use. Since the situations or happenings during World War II were still fresh in people's minds, different TV programs circulated their topic to violence, crimes, and other war movements. With that, people who watched television, especially children, had been exposed to different violent graphics or videos. Because of that situation or instance, the media's role was hotly debated. Although social researchers and media practitioners continued to put forward arguments based on limited effects research findings, a new generation of observers charged that media were harming children and disrupting their lives. To support this argument, Yuri Bronfender states that the backyards were growing smaller and the schoolyards growing bigger, meaning to say, children nowadays are spending more time with media and their peers rather than spending their time with their families, schools, and churches. And as a result of it, they were increasingly influenced by the television, their friends, and other outside sources rather than their parents. Furthermore, psychologists developed social cognitive theory, which showed that children can learn behaviors by watching television. This shifted focus from the idea that media had a small effect to concerns about how TV, with its growing violent content, might be contributing to real world violence. In addition, social scientists developed four different ideas about how TV violence affect people. Social learning, social cognitive theory, aggressive cues, and priming effects suggests that watching violent TV can increase the chances of real life violence by teaching or triggering aggressive behavior. However, the catharsis theory argues the opposite because it suggests that watching violence TV can reduce aggression by allowing people to release their anger or frustration harmlessly. Last, in the overview of Chapter 6, the general aggression model suggests that aggression is learned through media, like TV and video games, by forming scripts or schemas from what we see. It focuses on how violent media impacts adolescents' behavior. Meanwhile, cultural scholars worry that increased media use is leading to the commercialization and adultification of childhood, exposing kids to more adult content and consumerism at younger ages. Now let's proceed on focus on children and violence. The argument about the media's role in fomenting social instability and instigating violence reached a peak in the late 1960s. To resolve it, President Lyndon Johnson established two national commissions, which is the Kerner Commission in 1967 and the National Commission on the Causes and Prevention of Violence in 1968, which criticize the media and recommend changes in news and entertainment content. In a 1968 report, editor Paul Bryan questioned how the media could claim no link between violent portrayals and violent behavior, while also influencing consumer behavior, which highlighted growing doubts about the assumption that media had only a harmless or limited effect on society. In 1969, the U.S. government created the Surgeon General Scientific Advisory Committee on Television and Social Behavior to study the effects of TV on children. The primary goal of um, that research study is to gather research to understand whether television could significantly influence children's behavior. But in the end, the report from the Surgeon General's Committee didn't settle the debate about Davis effects. So, the industry officials and lobbyists worked to prevent new regulations from the research um, to prevent new regulations from the Federal Communications Commission or FCC on the children's programming, arguing that the research was unclear. And for their final solution, they introduced the family viewing hour. The goal of it is to reduce violent content and for those three major TV networks to tighten their programming standards and to limit unnecessary violence in shows. So this method or this regulation that they come up is somewhat related to the MTRCB the movie and the Movie and Television Review and Classification Board color code here in the Philippines, wherein it supervises and regulates the operation of the movie and television industry here in the Philippines to prevent being harmful to its audiences. So that's all. Thank you.